Welcome back to installment 3 of our bite-sized budgeting series. In this part of our other personnel installment, we will cover the rest of the internal budget template for budgeting other personnel, and we will get into 3 sponsor budget templates.
When we look at our other personnel who are not eligible for SERS, there are 4 different categories that assess costs a little bit differently. So our non-student employees might be salaried, but they are not eligible for retirement, or they are hourly or paid monthly, or if it is an adjunct who's approved to work on a grant, they are paid per semester or course. We have hourly students enrolled less than half-time, hourly students enrolled at least half-time, and then our graduate research assistants because they are not paid hourly. Here we have the pay rate. For our first couple categories, they are paid per hour. Our graduate research assistant is paid per month. Number of units is whatever you chose in the dropdown before. So for our first category, that is 800 hours. For our third category, because I did not budget for any hourly students enrolled less than half-time, that is 200 hours. And our last category, that is 9 months. And then number of employees, 2 non-student employees, 4 hourly students, and 1 graduate assistant. One item to note are these orange cells. These are the only orange cells in the entire spreadsheet. These will escalate automatically. Non-student employees use the university escalation rate, where students have a separately negotiated rate that's renegotiated every few years. If you want to override these, the orange cells are the ones to do that. If this is a 1-year grant, entering 0 in the year 2 cells will cause all the rest of the years to zero out. If you are hiring students at minimum wage and you will hire new students every year, so there won't be escalation, you can type in that year 2 amount, that year 3 amount, if it won't escalate. If you have a graduate assistant in year 1 who was a first-year grad, but in year 2, they're a second-year grad, so they get a bit of a raise, you would go ahead and account for that, plus the escalation. The internal budget is used to calculate things based on UIS rates. You'll notice that when we do all of this background multiplication, we get cents. Some sponsors want everything rounded to the nearest dollar, which often impacts a budget. So that is something to be aware of. Sometimes it's only off by a few cents, but sometimes if there are a lot of cells being added and multiplied, it does end up being a couple dollar difference. So we may have to go in and tweak a couple things to make the budgets and the justifications match. That is something our office can help with. Do not feel like you are alone when things don't match up perfectly. I say this because we are going to carry the numbers from our internal budget to our potential external budgets, starting with the budget called the R&R budget, the research and related budget. This is common for a lot of grants that go through grants.gov. Section B of this budget template is other personnel, and it outlines a few different roles and has a blank spot for other roles that don't fit those. Based on our internal budget, we have 1 graduate student, 4 undergraduate students. I've decided that our 2 non-SERS eligible employees are secretarial or clerical. And then we have Mr. Doe, who is our salaried SERS eligible employee, and he will serve as statistician on this grant. Because he is salaried, his effort is calculated, and he is a 12-month employee, so it goes under calendar months. There is a tab in the internal budget that automatically converts percentages to person months. So that is where I got that 0.24 calendar month information. Salary is entered, and this budget template specifically includes fringe benefits in the salary categories instead of being its own category. You'll notice that the graduate students and the undergraduate students have a pretty low fringe rate, whereas our secretarial clerical has a bit higher and Mr. Doe has a different amount. It is completely based on their wages and salaries. And then it adds the funds together. This is a different sponsor's budget template. This is specific to the National Science Foundation. Typically, postdoctoral scholars and other professionals are salaried, so they are listed in months, whereas graduate students, undergraduate students, administrative, clerical, and other categories are hourly, weekly, monthly, etc. So there is no need to list months on this template. Here, our other professional is Mr. John Doe. It did not ask us to name him. 1 graduate student, 4 undergraduate students, and 2 administrative and clerical positions. You'll notice fringe is not included on this template. This next template is very common for state grants. This is called the Uniform Grant Budget. And our senior and key personnel are listed in the same section as our other personnel. It defaults to only having 1 line for personnel, but there is this add button and you can add as many rows as you need to. The difference between this template and the previous 2 templates is that it does not combine positions. Each individual needs to be on their own line. It is a little more tedious to enter that into the template. Here you are going to enter a lot of the information we already had in our internal budget. And the biggest difference is the percent of time. Because our hourly employees are not paid based on percent, in order for this to calculate correctly, we enter 100%. That is just showing that they are being paid 100% of the $20 per hour or $15 per hour.
Now that we have covered the spreadsheet and template portion of other personnel, in the next video, we will cover justification of those budget amounts.